Chapter links are always posted in the Discord. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the other stuff in the description. And now let's begin my Kengan Omega chapter 121 review. So a few things. This chapter is good. Very good. One of the best chapters we've had in a while. A great start to the fight between Faye and Waka. And one of the biggest reveals we've ever had in all of Kengan happening in the last panel. So let's begin. Starts out with Faye and Waka talking some shit to one another, Faye being still extremely confident, and of course the title of the chapter. Let's wrap it up, connecting to the final panel. We get the heights and weights of the two characters. Waka is still the same, 193 centimeters for his height and 193 kilograms. Even though he looked a lot bigger in his walkout, he's still the same weight and height, so he didn't gain any weight over the 2 years. And then Faye, 184 centimeters and 83 kilograms. A little bit taller than Oma and a little bit lighter than Oma, but around the same pretty much. With the commentators confirming again Faye's martial art, Tai Chi versus Karate. Let's see what happens with an interaction between Misasa and Kanoh. We haven't had too many interactions between these two, and I quite enjoyed this, with Misasa calling Kanoh boss, showing that if it wasn't clear already, Kanoh is on a different league compared to the likes of Misasa, with Misasa still having, immense respect for him, even though he's the current Fang. They're talking about having no knowledge about the version of Tai Chi Faye is meant to be able to use, the Ren Clan Tai Chi Chuan. Kanoh, immense knowledge, the guy that has all these martial arts skills all put into one, has no knowledge of this, but points out that China has a vast array of martial arts. In fact, there are countless styles that are unknown to us. Then he reveals some information about himself. Many people in the fandom, including me, already assumed this, but it's good to have Kanoh confirm this himself. This is what he says. I too am originally from mainland China, but despite training in all kinds of martial arts, I've never heard of Ren Clan Tai Chi. So as we know, Kanoh parted the Gyu ritual from the Tiger Niko that was held in China. Many people assumed he's from China based on that, so yeah, confirmed he's originally from China. And Misasa's reply, so that's cause of the worms. So connecting the worms to the various unknown martial art styles, and possibly connecting Faye himself to the worm, as I personally think he's the Tiger Vessel. And the final parts of today's chapter pretty much confirm that as well. And we also got some inner monologue from Misasa thinking about, isn't this a first for Boss to open up about his past like this? And yep, that is true, showing that Kanoh is still changing, and eventually we'll learn more about Kanoh. And actually the author on Twitter, Sandwich, has shown interest in wanting to publish Kanoh's story, so I'm assuming he wants to do like a spin-off manga after Kengan Omega ends about Kanoh, which would be very hype, and I hope we get to see that one day. But yeah, some more information about Kanoh, the absolute beast. From there, we cut back to the fight with Waka slowly edging towards, getting closer and closer, talking about that look on his face is truly a combat machine, even though the art style for this panel does look a little bit strange, as a lot of us in the Discord were pointing out. But yeah, it shows how focused Waka is and how much he kind of changes, or how serious he becomes when he fights. Out of all the fighters in Kengan, he's definitely one of the most serious when it comes to when they're actually one-on-one in the fight. He's focusing solely on the fight, and of course is willing to kill, as he was willing to kill the likes of Oma in Ashura, but failed. But purgatory rules, but showing how serious Waka is right now. With Carlos and Lo Long talking a little bit about Waka's fighting style, full contact karate, and then this line, and the tiger's about to start his hunt. The question is, which tiger is going for the hunt? We have Waka who charges Faye, but his attack has been parried or somewhat redirected. And then right after Faye parried that one strike, he's able to flip around and go for like an elbow strike on the trap of Waka. But due to, of course, Waka's insane muscle, he just pretty much nullifies any damage from the elbow, and he's pretty much muscle just pops straight back. And this of course freaks the likes of Faye out. Waka, similar to what he did against Oma when he countered the redirection kata in Ashura, flipped around and tries to land a direct punch on Faye, which actually makes Faye cough up a little bit and sends him flying back, almost falling on the ground, but he was able to land on his hand, showing how, his agility and dexterity is quite high, and of course his speed. Then we get some inner monologue from Faye with his hand actually stinging, which will be explained soon. I see, this guy is insanely strong. Talks a little bit about the Superman syndrome Waka has to make him a living mutant. I was the one on the defensive, even though I struck him first with my elbow. He's hard, heavy, and impossibly strong. What a pain to deal with. I've been saying this for a while now. A lot of people can actually defeat Waka, but At this point, Waka is such a monster. It takes so much energy and so much effort for someone to defeat Waka. It's kinda just too much effort or too much of a pain, as Faye is already realizing. We have Koga and Okubo talking about how he was able to survive the blow that Waka landed on him, and this relates to his arm or his hand sting that we saw a few panels ago. That kid was able to throw together a solid guard, and he dispersed the force of that strike by letting himself get blown away by the impact instead of trying to oppose it. So he used his hand to block the strike initially and then let himself get flown back, which is something we haven't really seen too much of Kengan, or I can't really remember any other, certain sequence. It's a little bit different than just going limp. He's just letting himself get blown back by the force of that punch, which is pretty cool and does make that sequence a lot cooler than what it initially was. We have Oma, who, praises him. He's not bad. An average fighter would have been finished from that strike. Of course, also reinstating Waka's overwhelming power. His regular strikes are considered knockout blows. And then we have the one and only Julius talking. We don't get too many times when Julius is talking, but I'm glad he's talking when Waka's fighting. This is what he says. His ability is far below that of Waka. This is a waste of time. So, respecting Waka because, muscle strong mean unstoppable. That's, Julius' mindset. He demonstrated that in his fight, and he's thinking Waka can do the same. With Kazi also thinking if that is all that Faye can do, Waka should be able to get the victory here, but of course that isn't what Faye can do. We have Waka charging again with a punch, but this time he has pulled out Judo to counter Waka and has flipped him on his back. So people that didn't think Waka could get flipped or thrown like a judo throw, it pretty much confirms here someone like Faye who isn't, a judo master is able to do it against Waka quite easily. Even though it does no damage to Waka, it only kind of shocked him. He was able to prepare for the impact, so he took no damage from it, but was still able to throw someone who's 193 kilograms. And with everyone realizing that isn't Tai Chi, then straight away to the back of the head, Faye lands a direct kick, which sends Waka forward a little bit, but of course does no damage to him. Then we have Waka's rage face as he's getting up, and of course getting kicked in the back of the head like that would actually end most people in the Kengan verse, with Carlos freaking out and saying the following. How was he able to withstand that? Simple reason, Waka is built different. We see them two getting ready to fight again. Waka has these veins popping out everywhere, his traps looking insanely big, a pretty strange looking Hulk-like panel, and Faye being like, well, shit. With Kazi also pointing out that his footwork that Faye's using isn't moves of Tai Chi, and Oma pointing out that he also uses kickboxing, and then Faye saying the following. I gotta know modern martial arts too, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing and MMA. I'd say those are the bare minimum. With Carlos and Lolong not being aware that he had these skills, so far since he's joined Purgatory 2 years ago, he's only been using Tai Chi, and to become a top class gladiator with Tai Chi alone is pretty impressive. And now he's showing all his other skills he has, which is news to Carlos and actually, grabs Lolong's attention as, Faye's the Tiger Vessel, as I've been saying. He's an all-around fighter. He's going to pull out the Niko style very soon to show what he's truly capable of. With him, of course, being very confident even though he's begun to realize Waka's overwhelming power. And then we have the final panel, the biggest reveal of, a long while, maybe since the return of Oma, honestly, but the one and only Tiger Niko is alive, or the person known as the real Niko. Even though his name is question marks here, it's very clearly him, with it seems to be one eye missing. So let me explain how he's alive. In Ashra, we actually got to see the dead body of Oma's Niko, but we never got to see the body of this Niko, with the person telling us what happened being Crazy Kiryu, with him saying that Oma's Niko killed his master, the other Niko. So from that, many people assumed he was dead as well, but we never got to see the actual dead body of him. So with him returning, I'm guessing Kiryu being insane saying he's dead was in fact not the reality. Maybe Kiryu thought he was dead, maybe that was the Tiger Niko's plan all along, but he is here and most likely lost one eye during that fight with him killing all the people in this monitoring room. But yeah, he connects a lot of people in the story, and a lot of people who are actually here at the Purgatory vs Kengan tournament. Of course, he connects to Oma as the person who had given him the advance. He connects to Kanoh, who trained him in the Niko style and formless, and of course sent him to the Gu ritual. He connects to Kiryu as his former master, teaching him the Niko style and Fallen Demon. He connects to the Tiger Vessel, who's most likely the master of the Tiger Vessel as well, which pretty much confirms, I'm guessing, Faye's the Tiger Vessel, considering he appeared now after everyone talked about all the different moves that Faye is using. So I'm pretty sure this is like 99% confirmation that Faye is the Tiger Vessel. And of course, what he says in the final panel, let's begin the final act. We know he's a leader of his own faction of the worm, so maybe a worm invasion. He connects to Lu Tien, who also didn't really say he was dead, but it was kind of implied, but I'm not too sure about that. I have to go back and read the Lu Tien vs Kanoh fight. But yeah, absolutely insane. I honestly couldn't believe it when the rules came out. He's alive. I don't think it's a clone, considering he lost one eye. I do think he's just extremely, damaged from the fight he had with Oma's Niko. But yeah, absolutely insane. And that is pretty much everything for today's chapter review. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe. As always, shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.